everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of Queer Ecologies. My name is Anvita Prasad.
And I am Anya Maheshwari. We are joined today by esteemed Professor Saji Varghese, who has come in today to talk to us about his project Sunbird. But before we get down to brass tacks, Saji sir, would you tell us a thing or two about yourself?
Hi, thank you very much for having me on your podcast. I teach English at Christ University. So before this, I was in Nagpur teaching English to the UG students for the past 20 odd years. Last 6 years, I am here at Christ University in the Department of English. But I'm also interested in grassroots innovation, and that's how this innovation of straws happened. So my focus is grassroots innovation aimed at helping rural communities increase their incomes and also the urban poor. And then as a collateral, you always have benefits in the areas of environment and sustainability, and that's what my focus is.
Thank you. Now, for those of our listeners who aren't aware of Project Sunbird, would you be willing to give us a bit of a rundown on the company and the mission statement?
Sure. Yeah. So Sunbird is the brand of our company called Browned Agri Waste Innovations, and we are focusing on converting agri waste into utility products which can eliminate use of single-use plastic. So this innovation happened in 2017, 3rd of October 2017 to be exact, because that was very significant. So walking the campus, I found this fallen coconut leaves, and then it was like an epiphany moment for me where I felt these leaves could probably be converted into straws. And then long story short, we developed the world's first multi-layer drinking straws from naturally dried and fallen coconut leaves. And then we had a few students from Christ University who also onboarded in this project, and they developed 5 special purpose machines in-house. So we are the only people in the world to have developed this product and also the technology to make the straws. And then it dawned on us that if we can deploy this technology in the rural areas, and India is blessed with almost 11 states in India having abundance of coconut trees. We immediately realized that if we could deploy this technology in rural areas, we could employ women in large numbers and employ them in the production of these straws. And also in the meantime, we had got very good overwhelming response to our product, both in India and globally also. And so we realized that we could eliminate the usual practice of burning of fallen coconut leaves. Fallen coconut leaves, which is an agri waste, is usually burned everywhere. So we could eliminate the burning of the coconut leaves. We could replace single-use plastic straws, and most importantly, we could also create employment for women in large numbers. Yeah, so that's the whole story of Sunbird.
That's extremely interesting, sir. As you said before, you are the first company in the world to come up with this idea. As we all know, usually when eco-friendly products are put out in the world, they are met with certain kind of resistance by the people who are set in their old ways and don't want to expand. So what challenges would you say you have faced with getting the product into the market and into the public sphere?
Right. So yeah, we were very excited and upbeat when this new product came in, and then it was well validated as a product. But as you know, these products would usually be used by beverage chains and 5-star hotels. For them, profitability comes first. So not that there was any opposition to the product per se, but as you know, ultimately it is the economics of a product that works in companies. So our challenge was to bring down the cost, but because people, all these businesses had to transition first from plastic straws, which are available at throwaway prices like 20 paisa and 30 paisa, then they transition to paper straws, which would be available at 70 paisa. But even paper straws are mass produced, and properly putting it, even paper straws are not exactly eco-friendly because you end up cutting a lot of trees. So but then it was available at 70 paisa, and our product was all labor intensive, so we couldn't sell it below 1 rupee 50 paisa. So when it comes to the commercial aspects of it, we had challenges introducing it in the market, making it attractive. And that's where we focused on upgrading our technology so that our productivity would increase, cost of production would come down. It took time. That was the biggest challenge, the commercial aspect of it, and the perspective shift from the conventional straws to our Sunbird straws. That was pretty smooth, but then the challenges and continues to be the commercial aspect. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, you've mentioned that you've got 5 specialized machines, and that means production is ramping up because there's higher demand. Now, the problem with a lot of production and like commercial usage of things is that regardless of how eco-friendly it is, as the production process ramps up, we see a lot more damage is done to the environment during the manufacturing process instead of the end product. Then, how does Sunbird counteract this?
Yeah, so one thing is that we are very constantly conscious of the impact, the footprint, that the carbon footprint that we are leaving. So the best part of our product is that we don't have any powdering and extrusion and binding process that would have probably required more energy. Thankfully ours is simply a rolling process, and then we have upgraded the technology, and we were careful of two things: that our entire production process should be chemical free, so that would leave no effluences because our production centers would be in the villages. There are no toxic fumes or gases emitting. The only thing is that the energy consumed to use those small machines, and thankfully all our machines are like 0.5 HP motors, which would consume very less energy. And then we have gone a step ahead. We have collaborated with Celco, which is a solar based company, and then we have installed solar panels. So our production center at Nagarkoil is entirely a solar powered production center. So we are conscious of that fact, but at the same time, I will be very realistic and pragmatic about it. There are issues, for example, how do we transport it? For example, we have a very good orders for it in Europe, so we have to think about the whole transportation in cargo ships, which is again carbon emitting. So I have to be, so what it's as I say always, it's about choosing the lesser of the two available evils at this point of time, plus also all the collateral benefits about rural employment, the kind of improving the standard of living in the villages. All of that is equally important. So if you any case want to use a paper or a plastic straw, why not use a product which is actually made from an agri waste? That is my argument always. At the same time, we are also now talking with different countries. For example, Coca-Cola from Brazil is talking to us to set up a production center in Brazil, Philippines, Sri Lanka. So that will help us to have localized production centers where even the transportation would not leave that much of a carbon footprint. So we are conscious about it, but I always take a very pragmatic approach.
That's all amazing, sir. This sounds like every up and coming business which comes out of sort of like an underdog and then grows to be a greater company. But I feel like everyone is much more interested in the story behind it. So what exactly were the series of events which eventually led you to be like, I should make this a company?
Yeah, so as I told you, I've been an English teacher for the past 25 years now. Much of it was in Maharashtra. So when you are 45 and all, you get this midlife crisis, right? You walk in and out of classrooms every day, and you have a bunch of students to whom you are reading out texts. Half of them are listening to you, half of them are not listening to you, right? Yeah. And you can very well connect with what I just said. And what eventually, but then this turning point was when I was standing in front of a railway station long time back in Maharashtra, and I saw this bunch of kids playing near a huge drain. They were children from the slums. At that point of time, I asked this question: how does my going in and out of classrooms for next another 20 years, how will it make a difference to the life of one child, right? And then I realized that unless and particularly in a country like India, right, I cannot stay indifferent to the harsh realities all around, and I wanted to make a difference. So that's what I said, the social impact for me comes first, and then the collateral benefit happens to be the environmental benefits. And that's why when we were picked up by a Switzerland based company for our funding, they asked us environment versus social impact, which is more important. So without battling an eyelid, I could say social impact, because if I see a hungry child, I don't want to give him a lecture on environment. I would want him to first have his basic facilities, and tomorrow maybe that child might become a great environmentalist. And there are hundreds and thousands of very capable kids all around in India who don't get opportunities. So sustainability for me is a very holistic issue, right? So I wouldn't give very idealistic talks about it. I would want rather that the need for India in terms of sustainability is that whether every child in India gets an opportunity to be creative, gets the space, and probably they can solve the wickedest problems that the world is facing. So I always have that approach. So that was a trigger, and then I happened to read a biography of George Washington Carver. He's an African scientist. We call it, he was actually a slave at that point of time. His mother was slave with some in the US, and he became a scientist. And I happened to read his biography where he says start where you are with what you have, and keep trying. And then I realized that innovations is the way to create wealth creating opportunities. Right, we all look for jobs, and everyone is now looking to be financially secure, right? Particularly, that's the kind of ingraining our societal pressures are all about, right? Whether it is our own family, society, community, right? But then I think to solve the major problems, I think India is a very is the best place to look up to, because we can solve global challenges of environment sustainability. So that's why I thought if we can do so. That's how though I, as an English teacher with no technical background, I took this plunge into innovation. So I look at small problems all around and see whether I can come up with few solutions. And then we are at a place where we can always take help, right?
Yes.
So technology. So if you have an idea, so sometimes we from the humanities are better at conceptualizing and coming up with creative ideas compared to the actual students of technology, I would rather say. And then the technology students can always help us to give fruition to our creative ideas. So I, as an English teacher, I still decided to take part, and that's how. So even in the technology creation, I always put my head there. They might not like it, but I try to give ideas in technology also. So these wealth creating opportunities, if we can create, we can improve the overall situation in our country, whether it be sustainability. Sustainability, again, I'll never look only from the environmental perspective. I see it from a very holistic perspective.
So I do understand the perspective that you have to start small from where you are, because it's impossible to take on like global challenges if you don't have a grassroots basis or foundation. To that extent, with your students, students you've spoken to, students that you see have a lot of potential, maybe, do you know any who are interested in social impact solutions? Do you know any who are interested in what you're doing? Do you have any discussions with them, or are there any student-based initiatives maybe that you think are up and coming or that you would like to see?
So that's one thing that really pumps me up is the kind of response I get from students. So whether I go to a commerce class or to a JP English class or to the students of sciences, my first 2-3 classes are all about whatever we are doing, and the kind of response I get is overwhelming. So in fact, a couple of years before COVID, and university had always given me the space to try out a few things. So we had started something called ICLI, that is Initiative in Creative Learning for Impact. And that was a group of students who would come together, and then we walk around the SG Palya area and all of that, and then we look at problems. So that was a group of students who would come where attendance was not taken, no credits would be given, and still if something brings you there, you can be there. So we had 136 students who registered for that.
Wow,
and we would be there right from after 4, that too, after their entire 9 to 4 class, and there would be all these students coming together, and you could see how they were very holistically engaged. We would be there till 8:30 in the night, sometimes 12 in the night, and we came up with several creative solutions. So the question you asked me, and that is why sometimes people ask me, if you already have a startup, why do you continue to be a teacher? I always say that I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm a teacher, because I want to create this ecosystem or platform where we together, students and we all can come up with our own creative ideas. So there is and I want to tell you that even now, so that ICLI is now converted into what is called a startup shala. Any of you can be a part of it, and the startup shala is a place where we try different startup ideas, and I want that students should be a part of it. For example, as I told you, 2 students, Chirag and Sandeep, they are now directors in the company Brown Reed.
Wow.
Right. So they have a 10% stake each in the company, and and our company is valued at 15 crores. So you can understand that. So, yeah.
Doing with your life?
Yeah. So and so now we are coming up with another startup. So anyone who stays with me for 3 years, I onboard them, because I don't want them to hitchhike on something which is easy. I want them to understand the actual nitty-gritties and pains of entrepreneurship. So anyone who is with me so I onboard them. So now, so that's how it is. So there's a lot of enthusiasm, and now, so we have our project center in Bannur where the women are working with, 83 women are working with us for the past 3 years. We have provided employment. So we have also with the children of the women who work with us. So now 76 students from Christ University have volunteered to teach communication skills to the children of the women who are working with us in the villages. So if you see the kind of enthusiasm which is there, the energy, it's amazing. So we never get tired.
That's really, really amazing, sir. The fact that just mere students can go from just maybe missing a few classes to directors of a company, it's extremely, just it's extreme. It's like mind blowing. So you have a lot of ideas and extremely good ideas about how sustainability can be used and how it can be put into effect in campuses and students' lives. So, do you have any ideas or like principles of sustainability that you would like to be see enacted upon college campuses in particular? Like obviously we have, segregated trash and we have like gardens and stuff, but is there a few more steps that we could be taking to, achieve sustainability?
Yeah, if you ask me honestly, I always see, the entire mess that we have put ourselves into. It's really mind-boggling. I mean, it's really overwhelming actually, and we have already done too much of a damage, and the ship has already moved too fast and too ahead. Sometimes the situation looks a little hopeless to me, because the very honestly, if we talk, I think there's a lot of hypocrisy around this whole topic. Honestly, I feel, because we as we say, we strain the gnat and swallow the camel, right? For example, we get whatever hype is created, let's say around a single use plastic, or let's say a carry bag, right? And then we say, okay, it's such a huge, and then everyone becomes very sensitive about a carry bag. But what happens? Every single product on the shelf is all plastic. If you, whether you're buying milk or whether you're buying any product on the shelf, but we don't talk about it very in a very complete manner. So the challenge is very overwhelming, and that is why I think it is high time that every individual and also institution and even government, we need to be very honest with what we are doing, and everyone should get active. I think colleges, whether it's the BGR campus or the central campus, I think we should start thinking very seriously how to say a big no to every single plastic bottle. Just for example, I took a decision never to buy a plastic bottle. I would go to a water cooler and drink. So I think the small initiatives which we have to be very serious about, because see, the reason why we don't become serious about it is because the repercussions are not immediate. For example, if I were to know that the moment I pick a plastic bottle I'm going to be blasted, I'll never pick a plastic bottle, right? Because I know because it's going to harm me. So the problem is that the damage is not immediately palpable. I mean, it doesn't happen immediately. That's why we are very relaxed about it. And second thing is that we are happy to preach about it.
Yeah, but not actually.
But honestly, when we talk about ourselves in our own practices, we want to have a comfortable life, but we want others to practice it, and that's what US has been doing. The US is such a huge carbon footprint thing, but now it wants Indonesia and countries in other Asian countries not to do this and not to do that. So we need to be more honest with ourselves.
There definitely is like an entire air of hypocrisy that surrounds sustainability and environmental issues, and I feel like a lot of it comes from like big corporations, because the corporations want the profit, and human beings can't really comprehend things that have such like long lasting impact, right? We can't comprehend those numbers, we can't do the calculations in our head, we don't see it. But corporations take advantage of this. They're able to say, oh yeah, if you do this one small action, then you don't have to worry about anything else, when they are also like massive polluters and causing massive social issues, environmental issues. So in regards to all of this, I may have forgotten my question, but that's fine. We improvise on Queer Ecologies. To improvise on my question, a lot of the time we see that yes, there is a level of hypocrisy that goes into sustainability. How much of this falls onto individual responsibility versus how much of it falls onto these massive corporations that just see no government oversight, they see no real regulations? And I feel like majority of waste that we see, majority of pollution that we see comes from them and their manufacturing and their waste. but they don't really address it. They're able to say, look at these straws, they're able to say, look at these bags, and make you kind of forget about it. What's your opinion on just this whole dynamic that's been created?
No, I would just still put it back to the consumers. Now, for example, all these capitalists who are into different, can name any big company, whether it's ITC or Unilever, they come up with different products, right? Why do we want? I mean, how are they successful? Because they make it convenient and easy for us to use, and we want to use it that way, right? For example, if ITC starts saying that we are going to send out oil in big tin cans, and each of you come with a bottle and take. Would you agree? You would not agree, right? So we want that comfortable life, and they're just catering to us, and it helps our businesses. So I wouldn't put the entire blame on. We just moved very fast with technology and making things easy. For example, when I was a child, I remember even the milk corporations would be sending out milk in glass bottles. But then it had to be sent back, it had to be cleaned. So the technology went very fast with all these bags, the plastic pouches in which you get the milk.
And it all comes down to money.
It comes down to money, ease, comfort. See, everyone, each of us wants ease, comfort, convenience, and the technology somehow just helps in doing it, and the capitalists make use of it. So I think it's just a vicious cycle. We as a consumer, we want everything conveniently coming to us, and there's someone who is ready to cater to that. So whom do we blame? That's a big question.
Thank you, sir. I think we're coming here, reaching the end of the podcast, and there is one fun question which we threw in here. You've gained some status now as a celebrity in the area, and how has that affected your innovation? Because you are quite prolific. Even if you type your first name in Google,
happy to hear that.
it pops up immediately. So you are not exact, but you are a celebrity in these circles, I think. So how has that affected you? You've gone from English teacher at Christ to just a director of this company that is basically contributing so much right now.
So frankly, when you said all this, it really made me very happy. But that's not the fact, except I myself saying that I'm a celebrity, no one else says that. I keep telling my wife and my son, see, I'm a celebrity now, but no one agrees, and and that's not true, first of all. But the whole joy is about making an impact. Now I'm talking to you people, right? So the whole joy and sense of satisfaction is that there are youngsters like you who are listening to the story, and somewhere is going to touch your lives, and then is going to make an impact. Yeah, and I think that's the whole joy of it. And so thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Are there any final last words you'd like to not last words, of course. A little more good on Queer Ecologies. Are there any final words you'd like to give out to the listeners, or anything you'd like to shout out, anything you want for them to look into before we sign out?
Yeah, I just want to tell you youngsters that India, you the youngsters, all of us should think of becoming risk takers and not always follow the straight-jacketed conventional path of finding jobs for yourself, because that isn't going to solve the problem in India. You should be the path breakers, and as I always tell we want to make Sunbird the global brand of rural India. So we have to have that each of us should have that self-belief, and each of you should manifest your inner greatness. What I always feel is that in this whole rat race to make yourself and we only think about financial security. We are essentially suppressing the greatness that each of you has. So once you have the courage to manifest your greatness, which takes a lot of courage, right? Then I am very sure that your parents will be proud, your school will be proud, your college will be proud, and most importantly, if you have the courage to manifest your greatness, the world will never be the same, because you came this way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was very touching. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
This is Queer Ecologies. I am Anvita Prasad.
And I am Anya Maheshwari. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you all again very soon. Bye.
Bye.